Before Saturday Night Fever, before Grease, before any of it, there was a Brooklyn classroom full of lovable misfits that made America fall in love with a brand new cast of faces. Welcome back. Kotter ran for 4 seasons and turned its Sweathogs into household names. But the lives they lived away from that classroom? Nobody could have written those scripts. Number 1. We have John Travolta as Vinnie Barbarino. Just 21 years old when the show began in 1975, John Travolta walked onto that Brooklyn set as the swaggering, impossibly cool Vinnie Barbarino. And America never stood a chance. Across 82 episodes, he turned what could have been a simple comedy sidekick into a full-blown cultural phenomenon. The kind of breakout that only happens once in a generation. Now 72 years old in 2026. On his love life has carried some of the most genuinely heartbreaking moments of any star in this cast. Early in the show's run, he fell deeply in love with actress Diana Hyland, 18 years his senior, only to hold her as she died from breast cancer in 1977, just as his career was exploding. He later married actress Kelly Preston in 1991, a nearly 30-year partnership that produced 3 children and became one of Hollywood's most devoted love stories, until she too lost her battle with breast cancer in 2020. Recent reports suggest he has begun spending time with longtime friend Kim Basinger, a new chapter nobody begrudges him for a moment. Off-screen, his decades-long involvement with the Church of Scientology and persistent public speculation about his private life have followed him throughout his career. Claims he has consistently dismissed as attempts to exploit his celebrity. Number 2. We have Vernee Watson as Verna Jan Williams. At 25 years old when she joined the show, Vernee Watson brought a sharp, grounded energy to Verna Jean across 15 episodes that made her one of the most memorable recurring faces in the entire series. Now 76 years old in 2026, the career she built after leaving Kotter behind is genuinely remarkable. She became one of American television's most recognizable and beloved character actresses, playing Will Smith's mother on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and earning Emmy recognition for her long-running work on General Hospital. In her personal life, her first marriage to Joe Duckett in 1976 lasted barely a year, but her second marriage to photographer Van Johnson in 1979 lasted over a decade and gave her 2 children, a steadier chapter that grounded her through some of the busiest years of her career. Number 3, we have Gabe Kaplan as Gabe Kotter. 30 years old when the show premiered, Gabe Kaplan was the beating heart of the entire series. The comedian-turned-actor who based the show on his own life and played his alter ego across all 95 episodes with a warmth and wit that made Kotter the kind of teacher every viewer wished they'd had. Now, 81 years old in 2026, his second act away from television turned out to be just as impressive as his first. He walked away from Hollywood and quietly became a legend in a completely different world. High-stakes professional poker. He went on to become one of the most respected commentators and players in the game. A transition so complete and so successful that younger poker fans often have no idea he was ever a television star at all. In his personal life, he is never married and has kept every aspect of his romantic life entirely out of the public record throughout his entire career. Number 4, we have Deborra Scott as Rosalie Hotsy Totsy. 22 years old when she first appeared on the show, Deborra Scott made Rosalie one of those recurring characters that viewers genuinely lit up for. A bubbly, scene-stealing presence across 7 episodes whose energy felt completely effortless. Now gone from us far too young, her real-life story is one of the most heartbreaking connected to this entire cast. In her personal life, she was briefly married to actor Jonathan Frakes in the early 1980s before they parted ways. She later found love again with Port Authority police officer John Dennis Levi, and then September 11, 2001, took him from her while he was in the middle of saving other people's lives. That loss broke something in her that never fully healed. She fell into severe depression and alcoholism. In the years that followed, a downward spiral her family watched helplessly. Deborra Scott passed away on April 5, 2005, at just 52 years old, from cirrhosis of the liver, a casualty of grief as much as anything else. Number 5, we have Ron Palillo as Arnold Horshack. 26 years old when he first wheezed that unforgettable laugh across America's television screens, or Ron Palillo turned Arnold Horshack into one of the most iconic comedy characters of the entire 1970s. The role was a blessing and a burden in equal measure. Across all 95 episodes, he made Horshack completely his own. But the typecast that followed haunted him for years afterward. Now gone at far too young an age, his personal life held a quiet dignity that deserves to be spoken about plainly. He was in a committed, loving relationship with his partner Joseph Pietropaolo for 41 years, a partnership that lasted from long before the show right through to his final day. Eventually, he found genuine peace and purpose away from Hollywood, becoming a respected teacher and artistic director at a performing arts high school in Florida, shaping young talent the way Kotter had once shaped the Sweathogs. Ron Palillo passed away on August 14, 2012, at the age of 63, from a heart attack. Number 6, we have Helaine Lembeck as Judy Borden. 23 years old when she joined the show, Helaine Lembeck brought a natural comedic ease to Judy Borden across 15 episodes that made complete sense the moment you learned who her father was. She is the daughter of Harvey Lembeck, one of the most celebrated comedy coaches in American theater history, and that upbringing gave her a foundation in comic timing that no acting school could have replicated. Now 73 years old in 2026, she has spent the decades since Welcome Back, Kotter carrying her father's legacy forward as the artistic director of the Harvey Lembeck Comedy Workshop, a role that connects her life's work to his in the most meaningful way possible. In her personal life, she married William Woff on December 1st, 1984, and the two have remained together ever since, raising 2 children in a life built quietly and deliberately away from the Hollywood spotlight. Number 7, we have Robert Hegyes as Juan Epstein. At 24 years old when the cameras first rolled, Robert Hegyes gave Juan Epstein, the self-proclaimed Puerto Rican Jew of the Sweathogs, a scrappy, street-smart charisma that made him one of the show's most genuinely funny presences across all 95 episodes. His personal life moved through more chapters than most. 3 marriages in total, to Mary Kay Hickman, then Kyle Bowes, then Cynthia Wiley, with whom he had 2 children before that marriage also ended. At the time of his death, he had found companionship again with Cynthia Gariani, a relationship those close to him described as a genuinely happy final chapter. Or, like several of his Sweathog castmates, he wrestled for years with the typecast that Epstein left behind before eventually reinventing himself as a professor and visual artist, a second life that brought him the creative satisfaction the industry had often denied him. Robert Hegyes passed away on January 26, 2012, at just 60 years old from a heart attack. Number 8, we have Melanie Haller as Angie Grabowski. Just 18 years old when she joined the show in 1978, Melanie Haller brought a fresh, bubbly energy to Angie Grabowski across 7 episodes during the show's final season, young enough that the role felt completely natural and unforced. Now 66 years old in 2026, what happened to her in the years immediately after the show ended is a story that has never quite gotten the attention it deserves. In her personal life, she was married to Eugene R. Haller for many years, a relationship she kept almost entirely out of public view. But in 1980, just 2 years after leaving the Kotter set, she became the victim of a brutal assault and kidnapping at a party hosted by a prominent New York businessman. The case exploded into one of the biggest tabloid scandals of that entire era, pulling high society figures into a very public and deeply disturbing trial. She survived, rebuilt, and moved forward. But the ordeal cast a long shadow over what should have been the most exciting early years of her career. Number 9, we have Lawrence Hilton-Jacobs as Freddie Boom Boom Washington. 22 years old when the show kicked off, Lawrence Hilton-Jacobs made Freddie Washington, the athletic, street-smart heartbeat of the Sweathogs, one of the most effortlessly likable characters across all 95 episodes. Now 72 years old in 2026, he has built one of the most quietly consistent post-Kotter careers of anyone in this entire cast. While several of his castmates struggled to shake the show's shadow, he moved steadily into directing and kept landing meaningful roles, including a significant part in The Jacksons, An American Dream, which introduced him to an entirely new generation of viewers. In his personal life, he has been married twice, with his first marriage to Brenda Hilton-Jacobs being the more publicly known chapter. The rest of his family life he has guarded with a privacy that speaks to exactly the kind of grounded, deliberate person he has always been. Number 10, we have John Sylvester White as Mr. Woodman. 55 years old when Welcome Back, Kotter first aired, John Sylvester White was the most experienced stage veteran on the entire cast, and it showed in every single scene. As the perpetually exasperated Vice Principal Woodman across all 95 episodes, he played the Sweathogs' natural enemy with a comic frustration so perfectly calibrated it made him one of the show's most beloved figures despite the character never catching a single break. Those who worked with him consistently described a man whose warmth and generosity off-camera was the complete opposite of Woodman's sour disposition, a veteran New York stage actor who elevated every scene he was ever in. In his personal life, he was married to Lillian "Lily" White for many years, a partnership that held steady right through his final years. John Sylvester White passed away on September 11, 1988, at the age of 68, long before the date that phrase would carry a different kind of weight entirely. Number 11, we have Charles Fleischer as Carvelli. At 25 years old when he first appeared on the show, Charles Fleischer made Carvelli, the slick, wisecracking rival to the Sweathogs, a genuinely entertaining recurring thorn across 12 episodes between 1976 and 1979. Now 75 years old in 2026, most people who encounter his name today connect it to something completely different from Welcome Back, Kotter. And with very good reason. He is the voice of Roger Rabbit, one of the most technically demanding and joyfully anarchic voice performances in the entire history of animation. A role in Who Framed Roger Rabbit that required him to be physically present on set in a rabbit costume so his energy would transfer to the live actors around him. In his personal life, he married Cheryl Fleischer, and the two built a life together raising 2 daughters. A stable, warm home life that coexisted with one of the most genuinely eccentric creative careers Hollywood has ever seen. Number 12, we have Stephen Shortridge as Beau Delabarre. 25 years old when he joined the show for its final season in 1978, Stephen Shortridge brought a laid-back Southern charm to Beau Delabarre across 19 episodes that gave the show's last year a fresh energy at exactly the right moment. Now 72 years old in 2026, the path he chose after leaving Hollywood is one of the most complete and deliberate reinventions of anyone connected to this series. He simply walked away from acting in the late 1980s and became a professional painter, not as a hobby, not as a side project, but as a full second career built on genuine artistic commitment. He has stated openly that painting gave him a fulfillment the entertainment industry never quite managed to provide. In his personal life, he married Kathy in 1976, right in the middle of his acting years, and the two have remained together ever since, raising 2 children in a life that looks nothing like the one the cameras once pointed at. Number 13, we have Marcia Strassman as Julie Kotter. 27 years old when she stepped into the role of Julie Kotter across all 95 episodes. Marcia Strassman was the emotional anchor of the entire series. The sharp, funny, endlessly patient wife who made Gabe Kaplan's world feel genuinely lived in, rather than just staged for laughs. She played Julie with a warmth and comic timing that never demanded attention but always rewarded it. And the chemistry between her and Kaplan gave the show a heart that outlasted every punchline. Beyond Kotter, she went on to reach a whole new audience through her role in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, a film that introduced her to an entirely different generation who had no idea she had once been Brooklyn's most beloved TV wife. In her personal life, she married director Robert Lyons in 1984, and the two had 1 daughter together before their marriage ended in 1989, a chapter she navigated quietly and with the same dignity she brought to everything else. Marcia Strassman passed away on October 24, 2014, at the age of 66, after a long and courageous battle with breast cancer, leaving behind a body of work that made millions of people feel genuinely at home. The Welcome Back, Kotter cast took life in directions that Classroom could never have prepared them for. Which story hit closest to home for you? Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.